So Balenciaga has landed itself in the middle of controversy. Ian, what in the world is going on here?
Well, really, Billy, it's just a very strange and disturbing series of events. Essentially, what happened is internet sleuths on social media eventually uncovered this photo shoot involving a young girl splayed out on a couch with empty wine glasses. Actually, not empty, half drinking wine glasses. They have the appearance of having been consumed. She's laying there, sort of, sleepily on the couch, and she's clutching a. Apparently, it's a bag. It's a plush bag, but it's shaped like a teddy bear. The teddy bear is inexplicably dressed in fishnet stockings and kind of BDSM flavored clothing with two seemingly black eyes or bruised eyes. It was just this bizarre juxtaposition of things. But of course, first and foremost, involving a small child made it extremely disturbing. And then as that kind of snowballed, people started going back into Balenciaga's other photo shoots, and they found one really strange shoot where it's otherwise kind of a straightforward piece, but there's a stack of books in the corner of the image, and one of the images is a reference to I believe it's a 2008 Supreme Court case involving child pornography. And again, it just seemed like a very random thing to have stacked into a set of books into this image. It was very unsettling, and it kind of fed into this whole narrative of what's Balenciaga up to.
Well, it's interesting too, and you know this because we cover these things, and as you're covering stories and looking at them, I'm not going to lie. When I first saw headlines on random websites at the start of this controversy, and I saw things on social media, I thought, "Oh, is that real? Is this a conspiracy? What actually is this?" And then, obviously, come to find out, everything you just described. Not only is it real, we're getting responses from the company on this now. And I want to start sort of there now that you kind of broke down these two big controversies. And there are some other little controversies brewing, but those are the two big ones, those two photo shoots. And they weren't just photo shoots. These were campaigns that were actually released to the public, right? So you would imagine they would have gone through some scrutiny before they made their way to the website and to the public. But how has the company responded? And you can feel free. I know there have been a couple of responses as these two controversies have unfolded, but maybe start with the first one or go with the most recent one. How are they sort of dismissing this or dealing with it?
Well, it feels like the company has been a little bit slow to respond. As is natural with big companies and controversies, they're trying to figure out their messaging and figure out exactly how big the impact of this is going to be. But once it started really picking up and snowballing and became viral, went global pretty quickly, the company really, I'll read the statement here. Let me just pull it up for you. They became very kind of clear about, okay, we're going to kind of manage we're going to manage what we're doing here. They wanted to avoid an all out and out apology. That had to go. Once Kim Kardashian came out and said that she would be rethinking kind of her connection to the company, not pulling out of their deal, mind you, or anything like that, just reconsidering her relationship. The company went ahead and put out a statement. They said that they sincerely apologize for any offense our holiday campaign may have caused. Our plush bear bags should not have been featured with children in this campaign, end quote. And they went on to say that they've kind of immediately removed the campaign from all platforms.
So that's interesting. And, you mentioned Kim Kardashian, and she has been a very big, obviously, proponent. She's been a brand ambassador for Balenciaga, right? So this is somebody, and in fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe on Thursday night, the season finale of the Kardashians TV show, that she's actually walking in their fashion show. So, talk about the timing of this in light of that show. I believe that was the most recent episode there as they concluded that season. So, she also said, I have another one of her statements here. And by the way, people were, because of her relationship, and this, they were waiting for a reaction, a response from her. She put out a series of tweets. One of them said, "As a mother of four, I have been shaken by the disturbing images. The safety of children must be held with the highest regard, and any attempts to normalize child abuse of any kind should have no place in our society, period." But as you stated, she went on to then say she's reevaluating what that relationship will look like based on what the company does moving forward. What has been, and maybe that is the most surprising one, but there have been other celebrities who have spoken out. Also, there's been some silence among some celebrities. What has been the most surprising piece of that puzzle to you?
Well, I mean, beyond Kardashian's statements, just the fact that she didn't immediately say, "I'm no longer going to be doing business with this company," which many people found, unsettling, simply because of what's involved here. It was also surprising to go back and look that her ex-husband Kanye West, who's also been in the news relatively frequently over recent weeks, actually had a business relationship with them up until recently when Adidas, which Balenciaga's combined with, they kind of dropped Kanye as a client. Kanye's featured in a whole bunch of these clothes, and so there's a relationship there as well. So as a couple, when they were married, they obviously fostered this kind of relationship with the company. I found that to be fascinating. I never was aware of it. I'm not a huge fashion person, so I wasn't really familiar with the brand. But finding that out, that was strange. But just this idea that really that Kardashian wouldn't immediately walk away from the relationship, I think has caused quite a bit of buzz on the internet. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the other things that's sort of bubbling beneath the surface on this, and I think that makes this story really pop. I mean, everybody's covering this now. Nobody could walk away and say this is a conspiracy theory again or not true. The company's admitted fault, essentially. They've put out their apology. As you said, they're managing this. They're saying they're going to, moving forward, look more closely at how they manage these sorts of communications and these sorts of creative shoots. But this issue of children and the sexualization of children, this has been something that has come up a lot in your coverage. We've covered it a lot. And when you look at that issue of kids in society, what comes to mind for you in light of why this story matters, considering where we are culturally?
Well, politicians like to talk a lot about common ground politically, and yet I think here we have probably the greatest common ground across all political aisles and viewpoints, especially between, even conservative Christians and kind of the rest of mainstream culture. One of these things that we can all surely agree on is the safety of children, is protecting these little ones who have no one else to protect them. And I think that's galvanized a lot of this conversation. As I do these stories, I talk to both sides, or at least attempt to reach out to talk to both sides. What I'm hearing is that parents have concerns, and many of the times, not all the time, but many of the time, the other side is simply unwilling to address those concerns. Now, in this case, Balenciaga went ahead and they're filing suit against a set designer. They're making these apparent public moves to show that they're not going to tolerate this, but as we look closer at the brand, this is a theme and not an aberration in their content. And so that's going to have to pose a larger question in the days and weeks to come as coverage continues. But from my perspective, and I think from a Christian news perspective, this is really one place where everyone should be able to hold hands and say, you know what, we all agree. We need to protect these kids. We need to stop any potential opportunity for exploitation of young children. Period. Full stop. End of story. And I don't know how that can be controversial in this day and age.
Well, in light of the drag queen story hour debate and all of those other debates that are happening, it is really interesting. I think people are hyper motivated to address these issues because they're kind of putting their hands up and saying, wait a minute, we have gone way too far on all of these things. And now you have these ad campaigns, right? And it seems like even Balenciaga is saying, obviously, this has gone too far. So they're even admitting that they've gone too far, whether or not they're admitting that they had full creative control is another question. But as we sort of round out to a close here, one of the things that struck me as very interesting is it looks like The company scrubbed all of their Instagram images outside of their one image, which is the statement from yesterday that went live on their Instagram. It says there's only one post. What do you make of that? Why do you think they would have gone through and done that?
Well, there's only really one inference to make from that, in that they don't want their content kind of to be screened by the general public, because maybe they have concerns. I'm speculating here, but maybe they have concerns that there is something else there that shouldn't be there. And I think we're seeing that a little bit as people dig a little bit deeper into this topic. They're finding things that are unexpected and ties that you didn't expect to be there. We're working on a follow up at the Christian Post as we speak on this story, and there's a, the saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's a lot of smoke there, and I think Balenciaga would do well to just kind of come clean, acknowledge, uh, as they seem to have at this point, and to move forward. But also, I don't know what that looks like from a media relations standpoint of scrubbing your content. I think it's a bad look for the brand, and I think it raises more questions than it answers.
Yeah, I actually found it shocking, as a journalist going there and seeing that and thinking, well, why are there no pictures left? This isn't a new account, I assume, right? Like you, I'm not a fashion fan and had never visited their Instagram. So is it possible an account was created? I'm pretty sure they probably had an Instagram account before this. So yeah, lots of questions there. And the last question for you is just the long-term impact. And obviously we can't know that, but I'm seeing some experts predict that this could be a major, major blow to the company. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't see how it couldn't be. This isn't something you sweep under the rug and forget about. This isn't a rebranding thing. This involves, a very high visibility brand doing something that they can't explain or justify. And I think you're going to see the market react to that. I think you're going to see, I think you would expect to see those who have ties with the company distance themselves. But again, in the case of Kardashian, we haven't seen that to this point. And so I don't know. I feel like we're a little bit in uncharted territory here, because simply put, we're not used to a brand of this visibility and scope being put under the microscope like this for its content. And I guess we're going to have to find out together exactly what else there is that we have yet to uncover.
Well, listen, Ian, as always, appreciate your time and looking forward to having you back again sometime soon.
Always appreciate being with you, Billy. Thank you.